Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where instead of returning to normal, aka pre-pandemic, Hollywood continues to shift dramatically. Not only are we going to talk about the box office and streaming charts today, but we're also going to talk about Cineworld, which owns Regal and is preparing to file for bankruptcy, and the effects of that on the theater business overall is not good. And the shocking drama that continues to unfold over at Warner Bros Discovery. Oh, Zazzy, I don't know if this is going to go the way you think it is. All right, so let's start with the weekend box office, where August clearly isn't going to have a breakout hit in theaters. Back in 2019, which is so long ago, but when you see this, you're like, wow, the business has changed. Because back in 2019, August kicked off with Hobbs and Shaw. And in fact, this year, Black Adam was supposed to be the last movie of July, which would have carried over to August. But The Rock's DC movies shifted dates. They're saying, and it's probably true, because they wanted to have the VFX look as good as possible for Black Adam. I mean, that change in release dates certainly didn't benefit Super Pets, which we'll talk about, although, who knows if its fate would have been any different on a different release date. But, and I don't know. I think Black Adam, by the way, is going to perform very similar to Hobbs and Shaw, which is, not, I don't think what is expected of a DC movie. But we'll see at the end of October. Anyway, in 2019, there were a lot of solid smaller hits. Like, none of these were huge, but look at the sheer volume. You've got Good Boys, Angel Has Fallen, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Dora the Explorer, Angry Birds 2, which was so good. Not enough people give that movie credit. It was hilarious. And also even Ready or Not, which was solid, but really helped, not launch, but move the careers forward of Samara Weaving. And also those directors went on to do the new Scream movies. So, even a small movie can have, it's like a ripple effect. It has great effect on the rest of Hollywood. Just a small hit like that, Paramount goes, oh wow, puts them on Scream, and suddenly Scream is hot again as a franchise. This year, we've just got Bullet Train and Beast. What the heck, man? And Bullet Train at this point is such a massive misfire. No studio should ever hire Brad Pitt again in the hopes that he's going to sell movie tickets. He clearly cannot. He gets a lot of publicity. He certainly gives a picture prestige. But clearly, if you want movie tickets sold, you have to pair him with someone like Leonardo DiCaprio or a named director like Quentin Tarantino. People who can put butts in the seats. On that note, David Leitch is clearly not a brand. Not yet, maybe not ever. Interestingly, though, I would say Chad Stahelski, who stayed with John Wick, that franchise, rather than abandoning it for bigger stars and franchises, who directed Hobbs and Shaw? David Leitch. But anyway, Chad Stahelski, I think, is now more of a brand with fans, thanks to his stellar, consistent work on the Wick movies, where he, slowly but surely kept raising the bar. Who are you more name familiar with? I think some of you know who they both are, but, I think Chad Stahelski gets moviegoers excited. And he still hasn't done anything with that. We'll see if Hellraiser ever moves forward. All right, so right now, Bullet Train is tied with DC Super Pets. Not a good look for either movie. And they can't even catch up with Where the Crawdads Sing, although I think all three of those movies could do quite well on digital and streaming. This weekend, Beast opened. It hit theaters, and the timing couldn't be worse for Idris Elba as they're getting ready to cast a new Bond. Sure, Barbara Broccoli wants a younger actor anyway, that's the word. But Idris Elba has yet to have the lead role in a box office hit. But he has plenty of flops, and now he just added another one to the pile. Thankfully, Heimdall is now still in play, and Elba has said he's talking to James Gunn about doing something with Bloodsport over at Warner Bros Discovery. Although, should they, considering he can't get butts in the seats? Maybe he can get people to click. And also, right now, I don't think anything is that secure at Warner Bros Discovery. So we'll see put a pin in that. But Beast also has horrible audience scores, so I don't have high hopes for that movie on digital, where it's now expected to hit in about 17 days thanks to its poor debut and, Universal rushing its clunkers to digital to try and get some money out of them. Looks like Idris Elba's daughter dodged a bullet. I don't know if you saw that headline about how she was almost cast in the movie and didn't get the role and didn't talk to her dad for 3 weeks. Now she should give him a big hug, both for herself and because he needs it. The big hero of the weekend is actually Crunchyroll, which has once again had a big theatrical hit, especially on premium screens, because if people are going to watch this anime on the big screen, they want to watch it on a really big screen. This is impressive. This is very impressive. And while diverse audiences came out to support Beast, Dragon Ball Super's audience was even more diverse, which I think shows who the main audience is right now, at least in the West, for adult animation. And across the board, and also this is something that Avatar Studios should pay attention to, Avatar Studios stories are also very diverse. They're going to try and, they're going to have theatrical releases from Paramount. They're going to try and do adult animation made in the West for the whole world, but it would need to do well in the West. But this is very exciting for Avatar Studios. This shows, Crunchyroll is doing laying the inroads for them. Finally, for the box office, Top Gun Maverick has streaked past Avengers Infinity War, although as it gets ready to hit digital on Tuesday, mistake, shouldn't have done it, but they are, it seems now unlikely that it will be able to surpass Black Panther to nab the 5th spot on the all-time chart. Maybe. It could still, though. I think I could see Top Gun Maverick playing all the way through Labor Day weekend. Plenty of movies have hit digital and still chugged along in theaters. And especially because its primary competition, No Way Home, has now revealed it only has 11 more minutes of more fun stuff. That's not a lot more fun stuff. Do you plan to see No Way Home, this longer cut, 11 minutes longer? Do you plan to see it? Do you plan to pay to see it in theaters? Will you wait to rent it or stream it? And you have to wait a very long time to stream it at no extra cost because Netflix has the pay one window, but that's after it does all the ancillary stuff like digital, rental, and purchase. Or you could pirate it or look for leaks online. What are you planning to do? Still no word on when Thor Love and Thunder hits Disney Plus and digital. Some of you think it might be for Disney Plus Day, and it's looking like you might be right, although I feel that would significantly undercut Pinocchio. Although where's the full trailer for that? Maybe this week, because Disney Plus Day is coming up. And these pitiful box office numbers, and they truly are pitiful, leads us to the dark news that Cineworld is preparing to file bankruptcy in the UK, where it's based, and the United States, where it owns Regal theaters. This news sent Cineworld's stock tumbling to new lows. It was already under $1, but still, look at that drop. As well as even AMC's stock, which became a stonk darling and embraced its stonk fans, although even that has not made AMC immune. Basically, there's huge debt left over from closures during the pandemic, and the film industry now is still not back to normal, if it ever will be. I've heard from a number of you that movie theaters are dead right now. In fact, one of you was even at a Cineworld to see DC Super Pets, and you were like, there was nobody there, and the people who work there said there have not been for quite some time. And there are far fewer movies that are coming out this summer, as we just discussed, comparing the 2 Augusts. And will that even change in the future? Or are the studios just as invested in streaming services as you are? A lot of those smaller movies still exist, but they've just gone to streaming. They're streaming first. But all these issues are what are causing problems for all theater chains, which is why AMC's stock also dropped. Cineworld is going bankrupt today, but people feel it could be AMC sometime in the future. Cineworld and Regal, I don't think, are going out of business. In fact, Regal even tweeted, "We're still open." I wonder if anyone still showed up. People are like, "We know you're open. We don't want to see anything." But I do think what's going to happen is they're going to sell off a lot of their theaters to be leaner and meaner companies. And with streaming so popular, do you really need a ton of huge multiplexes everywhere, right? Especially when most moviegoers these days are only interested in the premium screens anyway. So you've got like 2 premium screens at a multiplex theater and like 6 to 8 screens that people aren't as interested in and aren't doing the kind of business that they should. This reminds me of taxis versus Ubers, a business also radically changed by technology, right? Smartphones, streaming. But also taxis simply not upholding the quality of their business. People were looking for an alternative. That wasn't like, oh, where did this come from? People are like, thank God you've rescued me. I think that's the same situation with theaters, as we've talked about for a while now. Apparently not in Europe. Apparently in Europe it's a mecca, but still nobody's there. They're dirty. Other moviegoers are allowed to be disruptive, and they have poor security, etc. It's really a problem. I believe the theater chains of today will go on to have less theaters, with boutique chains like Alamo Drafthouse and iPic expanding, potentially by acquiring some of the theaters that are going to be sold off. It's these bigger theater chains become, as I said, leaner and meaner. And I do think in the next 5 years or so, you'll have another boutique theater chain emerge that's less quirky than Alamo, a little bit more mainstream. Or I could even see AMC and Cineworld Regal creating their own boutique chains. I mean, they tried to do that at one point. Remember, they would divide the theaters in half and they'd be like, premium seating in the back? It's like the opposite of a mullet, regular seating in the front. But I don't think that works. I think people want a full premium boutique experience. Like, AMC and Cineworld Regal would have to create, boutique is a funny word to say, but AMC and Cineworld Regal would have to create their own Alamos and iPics, basically. And I think that there could be money in that. Well, I don't know, they clean it up in their security. Also, I don't know about your theaters, but both in New York and New Jersey, we've been having a problem with rodents and pest control in the movie theaters. It's really a problem. What do you think will save the movie theater business? Or if you live near a theater that's wonderful, feel free to brag about how great your movie-going experience still is. All right, but hey, it's no picnic over on streaming either, as viewers churn, baby, churn, now more than ever. And it no longer seems like the sky's the limit when it comes to subscriber numbers, as everybody's starting to hit a wall. Plus, streaming services are still losing revenue. Peacock just lost like $1 billion. Everyone but Disney is starting to retreat to more classic business models, although even Disney is going old school with pricing, raising their prices and introducing an ad tier. And so far, it's working out really great for Disney. But I don't know. I wonder if, Disney's not right now the big maverick. They're the last one standing. Even Netflix is starting to go old school. And we'll see what Disney does if everybody else has great success doing that. Or is it good to be the only maverick? All right, so anyway, just ask Tom Cruise. Change is always difficult, but it's a freaking massacre over at HBO Max, where David Zaslav is also tackling debt from the merger. He has his own debt issues, but he also thinks he knows best, and what he knows is cheap, unscripted entertainment. Not wanting to pay residuals, he's stripping out a ton of content over on HBO Max, which not only diminishes what that streaming service has to offer in its library, but the PR of robbing the talent behind these shows of their royalties, which many of them greatly rely on financially, is starting to make them look like the butcher of Burbank. This is very serious, and perhaps there aren't a lot of stars. Well, I don't know. Maybe they're better being kept in line. But I think the Discovery audiences and the Warner Brothers audiences are just so different. I think that it's going to be really hard to not only meld them, but to try and lean in the Discovery direction. Again, as I said, I don't think this is going to work out. He's also got rid of HBO Max's unscripted department, with Discovery's team taking over for unscripted for this upcoming new streaming service, which scares a lot of talent in Hollywood because HBO Max was willing to spend like $2 million like an episode or a show for unscripted, whereas Discovery is notoriously cheap. So not only is there a change in leadership over there, but once a home for sweet unscripted deals is no longer exists. In fact, I don't know if you know this about Warner Brothers, but they always had a reputation in Hollywood for being willing to spend some money. From product to talent to even perks like travel and premieres. Warner Brothers took care of you, which is kind of ironic considering the reputation they eventually had. But they did. They had a reputation for that. When you were with Warner Brothers, you were in style. And there was a lot of concern that AT&T would crimp Warner Brothers' spending habits, right? But that was nothing compared to how cheaply Zaslav apparently wants to operate. And he's still collecting a huge salary and bonuses for himself. Anyway, still, House of the Dragon is HBO's biggest ad campaign to date. However, Zaslav didn't approve that ad campaign, and if House of the Dragon doesn't deliver, debuts tonight with a number of you saying that you're not even going to try it. That's scary. Well, then that will just give Zazzy the ammo he needs to not have any more big pricey ad campaigns in the future, because he'll say they don't work. Someone could argue, well, they didn't work for that product. There were other things at play, but I think Zazzy's going to bottom line it. Plus, he seems to be stripping CNN as well. This was a very big story on Friday, with rumors swirling that Zaslav, who has openly praised Fox News in interviews in the past, might be removing more liberal editorializing at CNN. I feel news services should try to be neutral, and occupying the middle ground between MSNBC and Fox, I think would be good business for CNN. But being a new Fox, I think would be absolutely catastrophic. Somewhere, Bob Chapek breathes a sigh of relief as Zaslav is taking an awful lot of pressure off of him. Wow! Bob Chapek's like, I'm free! All right. We'll see. How do you feel about Chapek now that you see what Zaslav is doing? All right, as for the streaming charts this week, over on Nielsen, Virgin River still reigns supreme. And with content like that and the terminal list doing so well, it's again clear that the more conservative market is formidable. Yellowstone was like, there's gold here, and every other studio was like, there is. and you'll continue to see Hollywood cater to them, in the middle of the road. Netflix is dominating with the top 4 series on the chart, while The Boys, now 2 weeks after wrapping up season 3, is still going strong. Season 4 is going to be like a mega show. I'm so excited. Only Murders is struggling this season due to not only being, I think, a bit weaker in season 2, but also shorter episodes in the competition. And of course, viewership is measured in minutes watched. The season finale, though, is this Tuesday, and it's so incredible, it's going to put that show back on the map. It's really an incredible setup for its already greenlit season 3. And look at the animated Jurassic World. Camp Cretaceous is in the top 10. That's adorable and impressive. I think that's really great. As for movies, it's the same couple of movies from the past few weeks, all still going strong. And remember, this is from a couple of weeks ago, so Gray Man is still on top because again, Nielsen's about a month behind. Over on Netflix's charts for just this last week, Day Shift just managed to edge out Purple Hearts in its debut, although the latter is very close behind Day Shift still, and that movie's in its 3rd week. That's doing quite well. That's coming out of nowhere. Very strong hit for Netflix, Purple Hearts. And The Sandman, we just talked about conservative entertainment. Sandman leans more liberal. That's a hit too, in its first full week on Netflix's charts. It has exploded, a very good sign for a season 2 renewal. They kind of had a surprise 11th episode drop on Friday. People knew another episode existed, but it was a surprise drop. And I feel it was a bit of a waste because I think most people have already moved on to She-Hulk and House of the Dragon, and I think it wasn't enough episodes and it wasn't advertised. So they kind of tried to do like the Ozark Stranger Things, like 2-parter thing, but I don't really think that it worked. And in that regard, I think they kind of wasted the episode. I think they would have been better off holding it for Halloween or something. Anyway, also, Never Have I Ever, Lock and Key, both in season 3. That's the end for Lock and Key, though. And I Just Killed My Dad, which all are in their debut weeks here, show that Netflix, for all that its problems, is still the best at delivering the most new content week to week. That's 3 new series in a single week, and they all are in the top 10. As for iTunes, Elvis is still number 1 in its 2nd week on digital, thanks to being digital only and not on HBO Max at no extra cost day and date. Does that business over on digital make it worth gutting HBO Max and removing this incentive of the 45-day theatrical window to streaming services? Hard to tell, as HBO Max isn't long for this world anyway. In about a year, it'll be gone and a new streaming service will have taken its place. But that's so far away, and that's such a slow death for HBO Max, and we have a front row seat. They're making us watch. It's really crazy. It's ridiculous. A new extended cut of Jurassic World Dominion saw the movie rise back to 2nd place, angering everyone who paid for the damn movie and didn't get all the extras and the extended cut. That's really annoying. But anyway, Universal currently has 3 movies in the top 10, including Vengeance. So it's not 5, but they still have a very strong hold. And on Vengeance, which just hit digital, that's their focus division. And I watched that over the weekend, and I thought it was excellent. And while I enjoyed B.J. Novak in the lead role, I think that he's hurting the brilliant film that he wrote and directed. I think with a different lead, that thing would have really been something. It's still kind of something. I think it's going to get some script recognition with awards. It should. Brilliantly written. I mean, BJ, there ain't nothing wrong with being a hugely successful writer-director. He and Mindy Kaling were both writers and actors on The Office, and for a while they both have really focused on being actors, but Mindy Kaling stepped back and is more behind the camera, and her show's on season 3, and it's doing quite well on Netflix. So I think someone should have sit down with BJ Novak and say, you tried. I think for the next one, you should write yourself a smaller role and give the lead to someone else. Anyway, Top Gun Maverick is already in the top 10 in anticipation of Tuesday's digital release. In theaters this week, all we've got is Sly Stallone's Samaritan with Euphoria's Javon Walton, so will that get some of you to tune in? I know a number of you are a fan of his. It's a low-budget take, basically, on Hancock, and so that'll also be on Prime Video simultaneously, though, so we'll see if anyone pays to see it in theaters. And then Idris Elba might have back-to-back flops with 3,000 Years of Longing, which I think has been hit pretty hard in the reviews, also hitting theaters exclusively. As for streaming, tonight, it's the debut of House of the Dragon, and I'll be breaking that down after the episode airs, and my breakdown will also go up later tonight, like a couple hours after. Then on Wednesday, Netflix drops new series Mo and a documentary on multimillionaire conspiracy theorist John McAfee. Plus, season 13 of Archer premieres on FXX and Hulu. Hulu also has new series Mike about Mike Tyson starting Thursday. And again, just like Pam and Tommy, the real-life subject is not happy about this. Hulu needs to fix this. They need to bring this talent in somehow. They need to figure out how they can make it up to the talent. I mean, sometimes you can't. But to have 2 series now where the talent is like, I'm unhappy, that's on Hulu. Paramount Plus also has season 3 of Star Trek Lower Decks, and Peacock drops new series Everything I Know About Love, where a friendship helps anchor the crazy love lives of 2 friends and roommates. Then finally on Friday, Netflix has new show Partner Track, its second show about an Asian female lawyer in the last few weeks. Neither one of them advertised by Netflix. That's nuts. I know a lot of you have really enjoyed the first show, and so I'll be curious to see what that'll do to the second show. If you'll watch both, it just seems crazy to me that they haven't advertised either one of these. So that's this week's movie math. I mean, Netflix hardly ever advertises. That's their business model. But, I don't know. They're having problems. Maybe they should consider advertising. All right, so that's this week's movie math. What have you been watching? What do you plan to watch? And what are your thoughts on the box office, Cineworld, HBO Max, and more? A lot of stuff happening. And I'll see you later tonight for my House of the Dragon coverage. Share your thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And, of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.